Hey guys, welcome to the Alternative Watchtower study. This week, Jehovah's Witnesses want to talk about spiritual maturity. And this article is entitled Press On to Maturity. So let's jump right into it. Watchtower wants to talk about Christian maturity because they know how immature their indoctrinated members are. Notice how with each week they pick a certain topic that we all know deep down inside they are having major issues with. And instead of that being just like a one-on-one thing that you would go to an elder and talk about, or that you would talk to yourself or your spouse about, like that should just be a personal matter. The entire congregation has to sit through an hour of the same basic Jehovah's Witness teachings. And I think that's where they get this hypnotism conspiracy theories, is because literally every single week for decades they're talking about the same thing. If you were a Jehovah's Witness back in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, you're still talking about the same topics that you were back in the day. They just put a little twist to it when they change things, like they did recently. And that's how people wake up. When I was little, I thought that this was new information, that this was the truth about a certain thing, or that the new light was like Jehovah finally spoke to the anointed ones and changed something that we previously thought was a certain way. And this is proof that Jehovah is active with his organization here on earth. But when you look back at everything, it is either the same or worse. And that's why they had to change things. Because from Rutherford, from Russell to Rutherford to Nord to everybody who has been changing literature and changing doctrine whenever a new president came in, they saw how problematic certain stances were in the past, and they knew they had to change it. They have to change with the times, because if they didn't, they would be blatantly racist or misogynistic or whatever the case may be. It would just be too out in the open. So they were forced to change certain things, just like they were forced to change the rules of engagement when it comes to disfellowshipping minors because of the whole Norway decision. And if it wasn't for them, they probably would have never changed it. But for sorry little girls like me who got disfellowshipped underage, we didn't get that mercy. But I'm still glad that it was changed for future Jehovah's Witness teenagers or minors that are going to come into trouble, and that they might need the mercy that wasn't extended to my generation and previous ones. So it's like I'm happy because it's changing, but then I'm still upset because I'm like, it's a cult regardless. So whether you change or not, these things, I mean, the important, Christian doctrine is still wrong. So it's just a matter of procedure, the way they do things, the way they function. So I'm happy that they're changing, but at the same time, I'm like, throw the whole religion away, because I know it's a cult. And so, in regards to the whole repetition thing, in my opinion, those are like the normie Jehovah's Witnesses who are thinking that the Watchtower is bringing up this information as a refresher, as to keep it fresh in your mind, so that when these things happen, you have a Watchtower that you can reference to, like, oh, just read this article and that would make you feel better. They think that it's sort of like that, just to keep it fresh in our minds, and that would keep us, up to date with how to be a good Jehovah's Witness. But in reality, I do believe in the conspiracy theory, or like these brainwashing techniques, that repetition, if you say it enough times, they will believe it that it's true. And it is just my opinion that I believe Jehovah's Witnesses make use of this tactic to indoctrinate their members without them even knowing it. Okay, so paragraph 4, I'm gonna get really deep into it. The reason why is because this phrase is so widely used amongst the Jehovah's Witnesses. We have our own language. Basically, we got that cult language where we use certain phrases or words that if you're not a Jehovah's Witness, you really wouldn't understand them. And I am now realizing that other cults have similar language or similar procedures, like the Mormons and stuff like that. I gotta be honest, I'm getting addicted to like these Exmo videos and ex Mormon stories because I think I relate so much to them that is scary. Because we used to think, oh no, they're a cult. And then we used to look at Scientology like, yeah, no, they're cult. They're even worse of a cult too. And you never think that you're in a cult. So, anyways, this phrase for the Jehovah's Witnesses, the new personality, I don't know how many times we've heard this. You are born and raised with this phrase because you are born with the thought process of yes, grow up. Yes, have a personality and, be your own self. But you got to put on that new personality. So don't get too comfortable with yourself because you know that you have to change in the future if you really want to be a Jehovah's Witness and get baptized and everything. This is the phrase that they use when determining if you can get baptized, because if you don't have the new personality, you're not going to get baptized. And the new personality means becoming full-blown Jehovah's Witness 100% of the time of your life. You take no days off and you represent Jehovah all the time. So you really need that new personality, and they're going to drill that personality into you, and they're going to mold you into that personality. And if you do not mold, they'll throw you away. And I think that was the major issue with me, because even though I was born and raised into this, and I consider myself a Jehovah's Witness because I was born into this, I mean, what more do I have to prove is my type of attitude. And they're looking at me like, nah, doesn't matter if you were born in here. You need to show. You need to pay your dues. And I'm like, what you mean? You know what I mean? So this is how my mind talks to myself. These are the scenarios in my crazy Puerto Rican Jehovah's Witness mentality. I'm sorry. So it's just the way it is. And I'm gonna lay it out to you the way it is. So when you do grow up knowing how to identify people that have, taken up the new personality, and you really see it when people convert. So I'll give you an example. As growing up as a Jehovah's Witness kid, I'm watching my mom preach every single day, every single weekend, talking to thousands of people throughout her Jehovah's Witness career. And I have only seen one or two converts that she has either done herself or has helped another pioneer sister. And so out of the thousands of people that we talk to, that's the reality. Only one or two people are going to convert. And when they are in this Bible study that looks promising that they're going to get baptized, they use that as an example for their children, because they are looking at us saying, you see, this is how you preach to somebody. So you got to see somebody from day one up until they started, studying the Bible teach book, and they're almost at the end of it and they're ready to dedicate their life. So you take that book and you're like, okay, this person has made significant changes in their lives because they're learning what Jehovah loves, what Jehovah hates, and they want to change their lives for the better and become Jehovah's Witnesses or become Christian. They use that as the perfect textbook example of how somebody can come from being worldly to 100% being a Jehovah's Witness. And it's crazy because you think that's a good thing. Oh, this person has changed their worldly ways or their sinful lifestyle and they learned how to please Jehovah. And in reality, that was just indoctrination or brainwashing in less than a year to get them to get baptized. I know that now. But as I'm looking back at this paragraph and I'm looking back at this phrase and I'm looking back at these scriptures, I think it's really important to bring that up again as an ex-witness and say, okay, hold on. That's not what that scripture was really talking about. And the way that the Jehovah's Witnesses twist it as you need to change your personality. You need to change yourself, indefinitely to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses. It's not just your lifestyle that you have to change. And I think that is what's problematic with cults and what's problematic with this line of thinking, is because they change your whole worldview to view it the way they want you to view it, how they want you to dress, how they want you to think, how they want you to talk. Like literally everything about yourself is dimmed. And then the Jehovah's Witness persona comes out, and that is the personality that is forward at all times. And if you've ever seen the movie Split, you would understand what I'm talking about, because it's like they give you an onset of a mental illness or something, because it's like this, you can easily get drifted into a personality disorder because you learn how to be a Jehovah's Witness when you're with these people or when you're at the Kingdom Hall, and then when you're at work you're a different person, or when you're at school you're a different person, and it's like you create all of these different personalities because you don't even know who you are, and you want those personalities because you think, oh, this is who I really am, this is what I really like, but I can't be like this all the time because I have to bring the Jehovah's Witness to the light, and you can't bring Patricia, or you can't bring, these other personalities forward because you have to be a Jehovah's Witness all the time. So they're going to kill those other personalities or kill who you really are to bring the Jehovah's Witness out. And then you forget who you are. You don't even know who you are anymore because you're so much of a Jehovah's Witness all the time, with studying, with going out in service, with hanging out with other Jehovah's Witnesses. You never associate with anybody out of your circle, so you don't even know how to talk or act in different groups of people because you were never exposed to it. So it's like, how can you blame me for not knowing how to act in society? I literally had to learn those things because I have been so isolated in the Jehovah's Witness community that I didn't even know how to talk to people at school, get a job, and how to work, how to be in a working environment, how to do these things, because you are not raised with the thought of going to college or having a job long term. Like, no, those things are not in your future. As a Jehovah's Witness female, you are going to get married. And if you can, to an elder's son. That's the best thing you can do. And you're not going to get a job. You're only going to get like a part-time job and work like 3-4 hours because you're only going to, go out in service majority of your time in your Prius. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not thinking about those things. All you're thinking about is your career as a Jehovah's Witness, as a Christian, because you only need a car to go out in service. So you're not buying cars and looking at cars because this is the car, this is your dream car, this is the one that you love. No, you're looking at it because you're like, okay, how is this gonna go out in service? How are people gonna fit in it? And you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about, oh, I'm gonna get married and I need to pick the most spiritual brother, and if he's an elder son, that's a plus, or he has to be a pioneer, or we have to have goals to be Bethelites, or whatever the case may be. You're not looking at that man as if, do you really like that guy? Is he really attractive? No, his spirituality is attractive because that's gonna get you higher in the social ladder. But when you really think about it, no, you really don't like that guy. I mean, you could get, lucky and find your soulmate there, but majority of the time, I'm just trying to, describe the mentality of a Jehovah's Witness who was born and raised, like, indoctrinated since forever, and this is how they're looking at the world. And so this is why I have given myself so many breaks, because you can't blame yourself. You're gonna go crazy pulling your hair out because you don't know how to do this, you don't know how to do that. And it's like, bro, relax. You were raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and you have to tell yourself this sometimes. I gotta tell myself to give myself some grace and some time and some patience. You gotta be patient with yourself because you have to learn these things as an adult. And it is not your fault. It's not my fault. It's my parents' fault. And we can't blame them forever. So you need to grow up and pull yourself up and just learn it and enter society as an adult. So going back to the new personality, they quote Ephesians chapter 4, verse 22 through 24. And since I have already described what the Jehovah's Witnesses say putting on the new personality is, now I'm going to read the same scripture from the Orthodox Study Bible, and I'm going to read the footnote on the explanation of the scripture. This I say, therefore, and testify in the Lord, that you should no longer walk as the rest of the Gentiles walk, in the futility of their mind, having their understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of God, because of the ignorance that is in them, because of the blindness of their heart, who being past feeling have given themselves over to lewdness, to work all uncleanness with greediness. But you have not so learned Christ, if indeed you have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Jesus, that you, putting off concerning your former conduct The old man which grows corrupt according to the deceitful lusts, and be renewed in the spirit of your mind, and that you put on the new man, which was created according to God in true righteousness and holiness. And the footnote reads, the process of Christian growth requires our free will commitment to walk in righteousness and holiness. A child of the light can no longer act as a child of darkness. A change of lifestyle is possible because of Christ, the original new man. So Christ must be learned, and relationship with him must be renewed. A process implying intimate relationship. Further, Christ must be put on, a clothing metaphor, an allusion to baptism and the baptismal robe. While spiritual grace makes man heavenly, righteousness is both a gift and a goal, a present reality and a promise to be striven for. Couldn't agree more. Because when you do a Google search and you look at the different translations of Ephesians 4:22 to 24, the other ones say the same thing, putting off this lifestyle or this way of thinking. And then the New World Translation of the Bible of the Jehovah's Witnesses, they say the new personality. And then the witnesses, the witness culture, because they might not necessarily say it out loud, right? Because they never say what they mean. But they're always going to allude to this phrase, this scripture, as the new personality, as the reason why we have to stop being who we really are and be a Jehovah's Witness. And being a Jehovah's Witness goes to the extremes in every aspect of life. And that's not what being a Christian is. Putting off the old and putting on the new, for me, means that I'm no longer going to live a life of sin. I'm no longer going to hold opinions that either justify or validate sins or the sins of others. I am not going to ally myself with an organization or a group of people that promote sin. I am going to change my stances on things like being pro-choice or pro-life, becoming an abolitionist when it comes to something like abortion. These are certain things that will change because you learn Christ, and that intimate relationship with Christ is going to help you become new. It's not you forcing yourself to change. It comes naturally. You learn to love what God loves and to hate what God hates. And you will identify that everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. And those decisions and thoughts that you make based on the relationship that you have with Christ is a personal one. And that journey and decision making is for each Christian to do for themselves. But as a Christian, a real Christian, not these mainstream Christians that just wear a cross for the fashion statement, but a real Christian that takes it seriously, they will make necessary changes for themselves, to raise their family, to change their lifestyle, to live in accordance to Christ's teaching. And that's what I agree with, because that's a decision that you are making with you have to be willing to do that. So these changes are from your free will. This is what free will really is. Not that you're doing this because your parents told you to do it, or because you were just born into this religion or this cult, or you're just doing it to please other people. You are willingly making these decisions for yourself as an adult. You are not being indoctrinated as a child. You are not thinking that this is the truth just because somebody told you that it was. So when you look back on your past as being one of Jehovah's Witnesses, if you were born into it, that wasn't a choice for you. That was not free will for you. You were indoctrinated. It was a given for you to get baptized. It was something that you were supposed to do, like puberty. They don't make any differences with that, and they make you feel as if it is your choice. I always talk about this. I say it to my mother all the time. I bluntly tell her that this was not a choice for me. I did not agree to study the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses and decide for myself to get baptized at 10 years old because I wanted to. I believed that this was the truth. Believed in God and in Jesus and in Christianity. But it was not my choice to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses and to be forced to follow all of these rules that I didn't consent to. I was just born into it. Leaving and becoming an ex Jehovah's Witness was 6 years of a whole lot of mistakes and being dragged like a rag doll emotionally and mentally. I also went through a mental breakdown, which I can talk about in future videos, but like it literally cracks you because you don't know how to live your life without the Jehovah's Witnesses. So you're learning how to live all over again. It's like a baby learning how to walk, and you're learning how to walk all over again at an adult age. And it's almost unnatural. Like you feel weird. So you have to move on from these things, and hopefully you're not too damaged from how the world treats you, and you can pick yourself up and build a new life for yourself. And then after that period of time, I finally decided to give Christianity a second chance. This is what I consider free will. I am deciding to go to a church to learn Christianity through the Orthodox Christians. It is a choice that I am taking. I enjoy going to the church. I enjoy singing the songs at church. I enjoy gathering with the brother, with the congregation of that church. I enjoy those things. As a Jehovah's Witness, I hated it. It was a burden. It was forced. It was a group of people that I would have never had any connection with if it wasn't for Jehovah's Witnesses. If it wasn't for being in the same religion, I would have never hung out with those people. So it wasn't a choice for me to associate myself with these people. I didn't even like those people. Like more than half of them I despised. And then it turned me off to like people in general, like the whole world. Like I literally used to, like I say this all the time in a joking way, that I hate people. I hate people because I was trained and forced to say hi to people, to hug people, to give this smile on your face. Like my mom used to tell me to change your face and to put a smile on your face. And it's just a whole lot of toxicity that you have to deprogram, and you have to change, and you have to learn how to communicate and socialize in a willingly manner. Okay? Like if you don't want to, don't do it. You know what I mean? Like have those boundaries for yourself, limit yourself, know how much you can handle, and don't do more of that just because you're trying to prove something. No, you don't have to prove your relationship to God to anybody. You don't have to go out in service and comment and sing the songs and do all of these physical displays of spirituality because you have to keep up this appearance and show yourself to be the one of the best Jehovah's Witnesses, like a stellar example, a pillar of the congregation. I used to hate all of that. I just wanted to be regular. I just wanted to go to the meeting and just sit down. I didn't want to sing or too much, or always be sitting at the second row because my mom said we're going to sit in the front and pay attention. And I didn't want to be that type. And so it's the extremism that wakes people up. And sooner rather than later, people will continue waking up in greater amounts, because the rules are changing, which is ridiculous as a Jehovah's Witness. But I'm not going to even get into that. But like just the lifestyle of a Jehovah's Witness is what is waking people up. And they are sick and tired of this, because this is not what being a Christian is. This is what the Jehovah's Witnesses want you to do. Moving on to paragraph 6. The watchtower never fails with an illustration, and I am going to present that illustration. A mother might ask her young daughter to hold her hand while crossing the street. As the girl grows older, the mother might allow her to cross the street on her own, but will still remind her to look both ways for traffic. When the child becomes an adult, she avoids such hazards on her own. Just as young children need help from adults to avoid danger, immature Christians often need help from mature Christians to avoid spiritual dangers and to make wise decisions. I will never get why Watchtower will keep putting these illustrations in. I mean, it gets me so upset. It makes me feel like I'm in the first grade every single time I read this stuff. So I don't know if y'all people are watching right now, Watchtower, I don't know. You really need to get some better writers or something, because these illustrations, they really get me upset. Like, what was that for? Is that really necessary? I mean, y'all got so many scriptures from the Bible. Y'all have so many examples that you included later in the article. So why do you feel the need to put these dumb illustrations every single time? It's moving on. So yeah, let's talk about that. Watchtower wants to bring up immature Christians and mature Christians. And I am sensing the Jehovah's Witnesses once again are angling themselves as knowing the right way, knowing better, and that they are here to teach you. And if you are an immature Christian, you can go to a mature Christian or an elder or an older one in the congregation. The next few paragraphs detail how you can continue growing spiritually and that you can't do it alone. This is a red flag for me. Why can't we do it alone? Why can't we read our Bible and identify problems within our own spirituality and, strive to fix them ourselves? And if we do need spiritual help, go to an elder, go to a priest or whatever. Like, if I'm thinking as a Jehovah's Witness, that should be a personal thing between you and the elder. That's what they're there for, right? To spiritually guide you. So this is how they twist a truth, because it is true that you should always grow spiritually. But the Watchtower is telling you, you can't do it alone. You need us. That's what they're basically saying. And they are also going to wedge their own resources, as if you could only go through these avenues. You could only go through this website. You could only get this information from our point of view. And that's how you can grow spiritually. That's the product that they're selling. You got to stop buying it, because it doesn't work. And as soon as you are awake from these cult tactics or any outsiders looking in, I think they would agree with me when I say that this is how a cult sounds like. This is how a cult acts. This is how they talk. This is how they present themselves, as if you need us to gain salvation. They put themselves as the middleman between you and God, that you could only go through them. And that's what you have to remind yourself, that that's wrong. You don't need a Watchtower. You don't need the governing body. You don't need New Light. All you need is Jesus. Jesus is that middleman. And that's it. It is my opinion that each person's spirituality needs to be an independent journey with yourself or your spouse. If you have the necessity to seek out an elder or a priest or whatever, that should be between you and that person. And that journey should be your own. It should be something that you look up into yourself, that you research for yourself, so that you can personalize your relationship with God, with anything that you may struggle with. And that's when you open up your Bible and you find scriptures that are going to help you in whatever thoughts that you are struggling with. But that's not what the Jehovah's Witnesses do. They print out and they mass produce these articles and these talks and these outlines, so that the whole congregation gets the same information at the same time, and take it as you will. And if you don't, oh well, too bad. And then when you go to an elder, when you disagree with something that has been mass produced, they're not gonna really, the conversation's not gonna go far, because ultimately this comes from the governing body. So whatever comes from the governing body, that's the way it should go. That's how it should be, because they are anointed. So Jehovah speaks to them. And if you are questioning anything that is in these publications, then essentially you are questioning the governing body, and then therefore you're questioning God. So you see all these steps, doesn't make any sense. And then that's why they consider you an apostate, because you're not going through the correct avenues to settle your doubts. And that's wrong. It's completely wrong. It's one of the reasons why many of us have been labeled apostates. I am one of them. I am one of the people who said, I don't trust what the elders say. I don't believe what the elders say. I don't believe what the governing body says anymore after that bullsh they they came up with in the Australian Royal Commission, and when they came out saying that they are not inspired by Holy Spirit. Like, what the heck? Like, what are you saying? My whole entire childhood understanding of what being a Jehovah's Witness is and what the governing body is a lie? What? And you expect these people just to go along with it? No, absolutely not. I am not one of the type of people who are just going to go along with it because that's just what the governing body said. No, I don't agree. Now what? Then you'll get reproved or you'll get disfellowshipped. They won't even bother talking to you anymore. The funny thing is, they can't even find my publishing cards from wherever the last congregation I was. Probably the congregation dissolved or something because I can't even find it on the map. But they can't even find my publishing card, so they're not gonna do anything about it. They're not going to search for it. They're not going to formally disfellowship me. I mean, I don't even know if they can without the publishing card, but like the records of me being a witness can't be found. So technically, I guess a Watchtower is going to have to go in their own database and find my name. I don't know, guys. You tell me, because technically there is no proof that I am a Jehovah's Witness. That's funny. Anyways, yeah, I think that that's a personal journey that everybody should go through. And if you are dealing with a specific doubt or anything within Christianity, you should go to a priest or an elder or somebody who is, in the position to help you with that guidance. Moving on to paragraph 12, and I quote the sentence where it says, "In order to advance, we must move beyond the primary doctrine about the Christ." That is a little confusing to me. Like, it's a little problematic. I mean, I don't know. I have an issue with this sentence that I don't even know how to explain it, because I'm like, who said that we must move beyond the primary doctrine of Christ? Like, why? For what? Like, I don't understand what they mean. What? Like, we have to learn? Oh, yes, because the following paragraphs talk about, we have to learn about Jehovah's principles and the way he wants us to live our lives or whatever. But I mean, like, we know that already. Like, fundamentally, we know those things already. The point is to focus on Christ and his sacrifice and his death, and to keep doing this in remembrance of him. Like, this is what we're supposed to be doing, in remembrance of Jesus. What are you talking about? So it is my opinion that we should be focusing on Christ, because it's literally through him that we are going to gain our salvation. Like, why else would we be doing anything else than trying to follow Jesus's footsteps closer? The following paragraphs, they continue with the same thing. And then they go on to give the example of the early Christians, how they were, spiritually immature, and that, Paul needed to, reassure them that they should be strengthening their faith all the time. And I'm like, okay, sure, that's good advice. You see, like, we should want to gain more knowledge, or to brush up our skills on how to explain our beliefs when things arise, or how to become a better Christian, because you can never go wrong with it. You know what I mean? Like, if it's a good thing, keep it going and get better if you can. But if you are where you need to be and it's the way it should be and everything is going okay, then all right, leave it as it is. Like, this is the problem with Jehovah's Witnesses, is like they always want to drag you into doing things because you always have like this rush or this need, like, I need to go out and service more, I need to study more, I need to make more friends out of my age group or something. Like they always have this unnecessary need to always push themselves, because they feel as if, like this article, I need to do more, I need to be better, I need to be the best to be a Jehovah's Witness or not, or to be a mature Christian. You can be a mature Christian. Figure it out. Read the Bible. Talk to a priest. Talk to somebody. Like, if that's what you want to do, if that's your calling, if God calls you to bring more effort to your life or whatever, go right ahead and do it. But that's not for everybody. Sure, you can dedicate your life to God and you can be a Christian, you can have Christian values, whatever. But it's the extremism that I'm trying to explain, that you don't always have to be extreme with everything that you do. Like, Relax. We're not in that time period anymore. We're in the United States of America. It's 2024. You know what I mean? Like, in other parts of the world, maybe it's different for them, culturally or traditionally. The women dress different, or they wear head coverings, or they do different things. But in America, we don't do those things. So just because you are having a head covering, or you're dressing differently, or you're acting differently because you want to be more traditionally Christian or whatever, that's not gonna make you more of a Christian than what you are in your heart. Like, evaluate your heart, pray to God and evaluate yourself. These outwardly things, it doesn't make you a mature Christian. And just because you're doing more things for Jehovah's organization as being a Jehovah's Witness, that doesn't mean that you're a mature Christian either. 90% of Christendom is going to say Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult. So the type of Christianity that you think you got is wrong. So you're killing yourself over something that is completely false, but you don't even know it because you're indoctrinated. And then if you do wake up, whenever you do, you're gonna feel regret and guilt because you wasted so much time in that organization. And I feel even worse because I was born into this crap. So I'm like, damn, like my whole entire existence was wasted on the Jehovah's Witnesses. But I'm so glad that I woke up like relatively early in life, and I can change, and I can get to know myself and do things. But for other people, and you see these videos on YouTube, woke up when they were like 70 something years old, or woke up when they were in an older age, and I feel even sorry and even more sad for them, because it's not like they have a whole lot of time to make major changes, or they may be shunned from their children or grandchildren, and that's sad. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they think that they're being so holy. They think so Christian, so morally better than everybody else. But then look how they treat ex-members. Look how they treat people who have decided for themselves not to be a witness anymore, or not to be a Christian anymore. The judgment, the shunning is ridiculous. And that is how you identify that this organization doesn't serve the true God. Because if you really did know Jesus Christ and followed the true God, you wouldn't act like that. You wouldn't be like that. And so I truly feel as if Jesus came back and he's looking at those Christians and they're saying, oh yes, I know you. I know you, Jesus. He's going to tell them, I'm sorry, I don't know you. And I really do feel like the Jehovah's Witnesses are going to have a really tough and hard awakening whenever that day comes. So that concludes my alternative watchtower study. Sorry, it kind of went long this time, but I really went deep. And I just wanted to give a announcement. Unfortunately, this series is going to end. And Chaka Yumba is no longer going to be doing alternative watchtower videos anymore. And so he kind of left it up to me if I want to continue doing these types of videos, or, whatever. And I don't know, because I started this series always telling myself that I'm not trying to like regurgitate JW propaganda. Like, this is not what I'm here for. But I was doing it in support of Chaka's channel, and I'm so happy that he started it and that I was a part of it. And not everything lasts forever. So I'm happy I was able to do this, but I don't know if I am or not. You can let me know in the comments if you enjoy these videos. I'm going to also do a poll just on the community tab so I can see how many people want me to continue doing this or not. But as of right now, this is where it's going to end for me. I am really grateful to be a part of the, alternative watchtower study. So I am going to definitely continue making videos about other topics using my story of being an ex-witness, and give my opinions on a lot of different things. So I just want to thank everybody for watching, and I will catch you in another video. Bye.